Welcome to the first episode of Just Cuz. We're doing this just cuz. I am Max Weissman, and you are.
Sasha Cartman. Also Weissman, though.
Yes. We're both somewhat cousins. I don't know why I
Somewhat
said somewhat.
cousins.
We are
We're
definitely
first cousins.
We're
We're
direct
definitely
family.
cousins. We're direct family, yeah.
So we're here to talk about the incredible movie that is Across the Spider-Verse. I don't even know where to start.
It was incredible. I have
Yes.
so many words, but I can't think of any of them.
I mean, we should get this out of the way. 10 out of 10 if you want the non-spoiler review. We'll just, it's good. Go see it.
Yeah, I'm not doing non-spoilers.
We're talking spoilers. I don't think I
This
can...
movie is too good
Yeah.
not to talk about
We'll
spoilers.
just say, go see it. If you're listening now, stop listening. Go to the movie theater and watch it, and you're going to have a really good time.
Bold of you to assume people will listen to this before they watch Into the Spider-Verse, one of probably the most popular movies of the year.
I mean, I think you know Into the Spider-Verse is my favorite movie of all time.
I do know this. We both love multiverse movies because for a while Spider-Verse was my favorite, and then it got knocked down by Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I still think it's a very close
And-
second, but nothing has touched Into the Spider-Verse, including Across, and we'll get into that, but my goodness. I guess we'll preface with it by saying Into the Spider-Verse is so amazing. It blew me out of the water, especially considering I expected nothing from it. I just heard, another animated Spider-Man movie. I'm sure it'll be fun. I wasn't expecting to cry and just be moved by how amazing it is.
I honestly wasn't expecting much either. I loved the first one. It was absolutely amazing, but I didn't think that they could strike gold twice. And what's more than gold? Diamonds? They found diamonds this time.
They found the most valuable resource, and that's Spider-Verse style animation.
Oh my god, so good. I've really been blown away by animation animation these last few years, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio and Puss in Boots: The Last
Both
Wish.
so
We
beautiful.
love that. We watched it together. It was incredible. And the visuals in this does not disappoint. It's
I'll just
fucking
say,
amazing.
I'm not going to go scene by scene for the entire movie, but this intro is something else.
I could not believe it was an intro. Oh my god. I was when the title sequence came up after what? It was like 5 minutes. And I
Yeah.
was like, what the
What are we doing? Those opening credits, and you can just hear the music rising, and it's building. You're like, oh, this is about to be something, because the music in the first one's great. Expected it to be great, and obviously from the get-go. And then you get the drum beat and the ripples out going because of it. And then the amazing dialogue of Gwen just saying, there's a guy bitten by a radioactive spider, and he's not the only one. And I heard him, and he's not the only one. And I'm just like, oh my god.
It was breathtaking. And can I just say the animation of Gwen's world where when she is sad, the whole world is blue and dark, and when she gets a little bit of love from her father, the whole world brightens up. Me just describing it does not do it justice. It was beautiful. It was crazy, and it separated itself from Miles's world so well. And even though the two of them are drawn in very similar ways as opposed to many of the other Spider-Man, a lot of their art is in the similar style. Their worlds are polar opposites, and I love that. Her world is completely expressionist and color, and
And
Miles'
surreal.
world is comic book is comic book accurate to our world, you know? Damn, who
In
fucking
the
drew
first
this film?
movie,
I swear to
Gwen's
God.
world was watercolor, so you knew it had to be special. But in the second movie, the walls are dripping. It's gorgeous, and the way that when Captain Stacy confronts her and the backgrounds are shifting to emphasize their emotions, it's breathtaking.
The one that got me was that they're hugging and it's bright and she's bright and then it's like emanating from her, and then the second his police radio goes off, he turns and he's still bright but she's blue again.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Why did they have to go that hard on the animation
Why
in
did they
color?
have to go that hard? It was also a fucking hilarious movie.
Yes.
It was so funny.
We're going to get into it a lot more as we talk about all the new Spider-Man, but I'll just say, as far as humor goes, I'm obsessed with Spider-Punk.
Obsessed with Spider-Punk. Hobie is... I want a poster of him on my wall. He's my new king. That was the funniest thing. And when he was interacting with Peter's baby, it was everything to me.
And he's just like, oh, come off it, bruv.
It's like taking a dump on the establishment. I respect it.
But yeah, back to the intro, because we got to talk about Vincent Van Gogh Vulture. The moment that I saw him and his different animation, and the way that every new frame there would be like a calculation or some sort of blueprint, and it was just shifting every which way. Oh my God. From that moment on.
It was spectacular. And she go, "What are you, some kind of parchment man?"
Just don't use fire.
Yeah, no, you knew immediately, because obviously from the first Spider-Verse, there was lots of, playing with animation styles. Spider-Pig and Penny, and Noir Spider-Man, they were all different animation styles, slightly different in Miles' world. And the animation in that film is beautiful.
Right.
This pumps it up to 11 and just like imparts every other kind of animation that you could possibly imagine. There's Lego animation in this. There's stop motion Lego animation in this.
You're one of our best.
Yes, one of our best. There's old school comic dot animation in there. It's crazy.
Oh my God. And the way that in this new movie they overlap animations, which like you said they did in the previous movie, but in this movie it's animation styles that by all logical sense should not work together, but they just flow, and it's gorgeous to look at.
Yeah, like they stand out obviously because they're supposed to, but they work so well. I'm reminded of this scene. I know this is further in the movie, but I'm reminded of the scene when they're in, forget the name of it, but it's like India. When they're in India,
Mumbattan.
in the other world. Huh?
Mumbattan.
Yes, Mumbattan. Yes. When they're there, there's 4 Spider-Men, or Spider people, and they are all slightly different animations, and they just ebb and flow so well together. And you think that it's gonna be, you think that Hobie is, absurd at first. Like, I saw him come in and I was like, whoa, is he gonna be changing like that the whole time?
Yeah.
Like flickering back and forth?
Yep,
And then
he
does,
is.
and I'm like, it works so well.
You barely notice. And when you do notice, you're just thinking about how much work and just effort went into it. It's beautiful.
Every single drawing.
So I'm going to jump back to the beginning just so that we can get out of that, cuz two more things I want to mention.
I'm
No,
not good at that.
I want to jump around too, but 2 more things I want to mention about the beginning is the introduction of Spider-Man 2099 and his just jaw-dropping leitmotif, that musical sting where it's the da-na-na-na. Holy crap. I love that music.
That was so good. It was, and 2099 is Miguel, right?
Yeah, Miguel.
Yeah, Miguel. I know he was a bad guy, but he fucking stole the show.
Yeah.
I swear to God, he was so interesting. Like,
I want to talk about his character later because he's got
Yes,
a lot of interesting work on
definitely.
him.
But even from the beginning, like we saw him in the post-credit scene in the last Spider-Verse movie, and he was mysterious. If you don't read the comics, you don't know pretty much anything about him. You're like, who the fuck is this guy?
I read comics and I barely know anything about him.
Yeah, I was like, someone said Spider-Verse 2099, and I was like, I've heard that before. I don't know what it is. But he was just from the get-go, he had a distinctly different aura than all of the other Spider-Men. And like I think Peter says it later, it's like you're not funny. We're supposed to be funny.
What's up, man?
And you know that from the second he comes on screen, because like he's with Gwen and with the other Spider-Woman.
Jessica Drew.
Jessica Drew, yeah. I only saw it once. He saw it twice. This isn't fair, people who are listening to this. But Jessica Drew and Gwen, they're both quippy. You know, Jessica's obviously more professional, but they're both quippy. They're both having, fun, having a decent time. And Miguel is just all business.
There's no
right
fun
away.
to be had when he's working.
No fun to be had. He is the fun police.
But yeah, then they stop the helicopter from falling, and that is so amazing to look at, just the visuals. And then Captain Stacy confronts Gwen, and it's so heart-wrenching.
When he trained that gun back on her the second time after he knew it was her, I lost it. I was like, no, Captain Stacy, you cannot do this.
What are you doing?
You can't possibly think she murdered Peter.
And then she goes through the portal, and then just cut to black, Columbia presents. And I'm just like, what is going on? Are you seriously doing this?
It was a ride. It was a ride those first 5 minutes, whatever it was. Then we go back to Miles, of course. And it's been a year for Miles.
He's ripped.
He's fucking ripped, and his shoulders are broad.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I was like, hello, Miles.
Miles, calm down.
Calm down, man. He's throwing himself in his work, He lost all his friends. It's sad.
Doesn't really have the Genki.
He, unlike every other Spider-Man, decided not to make regular mortal friends. And he's like, I only associate with spider people, actually.
And only spider people who I cannot currently talk to.
He's still dealing with Uncle Aaron's death and the loss of his friends from the other dimension. Aunt May moved away, and I can't help but think that was just because they could not get Lily to come back. But, I love her. I would see her at anything.
I definitely was in the back of my head expecting Aunt May to be the Nick Fury of this universe for some reason.
I don't think they need one.
No, they definitely do not need one.
They're all spider people. But you know what? I think we might see her again.
We're definitely going to have a large portion of this talking about speculation of the third movie.
Surprise, there's a third movie. This one ends on a cliffhanger. I was not expecting that.
Really? Because...
No, I haven't been following anything for Spider-Verse. I saw the first trailer, and I stayed away from everything because I didn't want to color my opinion. I saw the trailer, and I was like, this is amazing. They're going to do it again. It's going to be great. And I know that contradicts what I said earlier, how I didn't expect anything, but whatever. I don't like to watch later trailers because movies, when they put out the teaser trailer, it gets me hype, and then future trailers, they just start giving away the whole movie. Like, I just watched the newest Barbie trailer, and I'm so hyped for the Barbie movie.
Oh my god.
It's fucking amazing. And they just, gave away a bunch of the fucking movie, and I was like, stop it.
I didn't want to know Barbie came into our world. I didn't want to know that.
Just let it be. The first one, 2001: A Space Odyssey, that was enough. Let's get off of Barbie, because I could talk about it forever, but...
I agree with everything you're saying about trailers. I also cannot stay away from them. But I also knew that this was going to be a cliffhanger because they announced this movie as a part one. So like way back when I was like, oh, this is going to be an Infinity War Endgame. And still, knowing that we're jumping forward a little, the twist got me. I knew it was ending,
You know what?
but
I vaguely remember that now that you say that, but I had no idea while watching the movie. Like, I remember when they announced a second one, and I'm pretty yeah, I think I do remember them saying it was going to be two, but
part one.
I had absolutely forgotten that. And it just got me. I was not expecting it at all. I was like, what? I was prepared. I'd been sitting there for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I was prepared to sit there for another 2.5 hours to see how the plot ended.
So yeah, jumping forward, because I just want to talk about it. I knew full well that there was going to be a twist ending. They still pulled the rug out from under me by making it that Miles is in the wrong universe and he meets the alternate Miles. I had no idea that was coming.
I literally thought that Gwen was outside listening to him reveal his secret
The way that
identity.
it's edited, that's what it's supposed to seem.
Oh,
When she walks in and the penny
I
drops,
I drank the Kool-Aid.
like I was saying, when she walks in and the penny drops,
Yeah.
I
And
almost
there's nothing. Oh my
stood up.
Literally. I went to see it alone, and I was between a child and and a grown man who I did not know. And if I was with my friends, I would have screamed, I think. But I was like, I have no allies here. I need to control myself.
Moving back, just because I guess now that we've talked about the intro, all the beautiful like animation in general, I just want to talk characters. Like Spider-Man India, Spider-Man 2099, Spot, all the new amazing characters.
Oh my god.
There's not one that really misses. I think the weakest one is Spider-Man India, but that's only because he's supposed to be a classic teen Spider-Man with a classic story.
I also think that he didn't really need to stand out as much because we started off going to his universe and it was like his home turf. Why would he have to stand out in his home turf? His world was already amazing, but then also it was showing us the classic Spider-Man story like you said. And I think that was the point, especially with the canon event that was supposed to happen but didn't. I think that was the point of him being by the
I think
book
I don't
Spider-Man.
even know what I'm complaining about because you're right. He's like the classic Spider-Man who's in love with the detective's daughter and he hasn't gone through the trials that make someone Spider-Man. Like that the trials are in the movie, but he doesn't go through that.
The point of he's so happy-go-lucky. His hair is always perfect. He doesn't have to work out because he's naturally buff.
Genetics.
And his life is perfect. And that is supposed to be changed by the canon event by his girlfriend's dad, who's a police captain, dying. And that doesn't happen thanks to Miles. Which I as soon as Spot, the bad guy, showed or like kind of melded with Miles or whatever and showed him the future, I knew that's where this was going. I was like, oh, we're gonna touch what can and can't be changed from a Spider-Man story.
Yes.
And I thought that was genius to do in a movie with a million different Spider-Men. I'm gonna say it like a last name, Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man. But yeah, this whole constant in the universe where every, captain who is police captain who is close to Spider-Man is destined to die. I really liked that. How, obviously it makes sense. As a narrative point of view, Spider-Man has to lose everyone, as a mentor. But tying every story together and even having Miles lose his uncle and how Spider-Man always has to lose an uncle. I loved that twist in the original movie, and they twist it even further.
Yeah. Ugh. Okay, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Can we talk about the fact that Donald Glover is in this movie?
Okay, we can talk about that.
I'm dying.
I lost it.
Literally, you know how I said I had to control myself
Yeah.
between these two strangers I was sitting next to? I did not in that moment. I lost it. I went, "Oh my god, it's Donald Glover. He's finally the Prowler." It's about fucking time. Him sitting in a box saying it's rude to stare, and then later when they're chasing Miles going, "Boo."
Boo.
It was all I ever wanted. It was incredible.
I think he looked a little small, scaling-wise, compared to everything else, but that's probably only because I've seen this movie 3 times now.
You saw it again?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was amazing. I cannot get over, just like you said, the humor in this movie. There's emotion, there's family weight behind every decision that every character makes, but it's also just hilarious. And I think around this time is when Spider-Punk is introduced, and I really do. Like, we talked about his animation, how every other frame, a piece of his clothing would switch to a different color. Oh my god.
Everything about him was in flux, and I loved that. And the fact that it's really a credit to the writers, to the editors who were pacing this film, like, that every one of his jokes landed. They didn't seem like too much, because like he comes in and we already have a jokester. We have the 2 straight men. We have Miles and Gwen, who as Mumbatum, is that it? Did I say it wrong? Oh no.
I think you did it, yeah.
Okay. I literally forgot since you told me
I think
5 minutes ago.
I said it wrong. I think you said it right.
Oh, okay. But the Peter from that world is already being a jokester, talking about how much sexual tension there is between Miles and Gwen, and which is already hilarious and amazing. And then Spider-Punk Hobie comes in, and he is another jokester, but like to another level, and you know, a completely different kind of, you know,
He's like an anarchist prankster.
Comedian. Yeah, and he is just, every single one of his jokes land. Do you know, there's things that actors say, and actors and directors say, is like, drama is easier than comedy, because for drama you need the emotion, and it's not too difficult to invoke emotion. If you're really in it, you can invoke emotion. But for comedy, you need so many different things to go your way. You need pacing, you need audience reception, you need the joke to be funny in the first place. And everything that Hobie did, I'm just praising him right now, but everything that Hobie did was so funny. It's a real credit to like I said, the writers and the editors, because they were really dramatic moments. They were trying to stop Spot, and they were like, it was like one of his first big jokes, and it was like, Miles is like, you're not a joke, right? Everyone's like, nope, not a joke, not funny. And then he's like, I don't believe in comedy. And
just kidding.
It was like a really serious moment, and it was just absolutely hilarious. And he kept doing that kind of thing. I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that, over and over again, and it can get tiring really easily, that kind of joke. But it wasn't.
It's the way that Daniel Kaluuya, I think I said his last name right, but the way that he nails the lines, like I think he says, I don't want to be in a band, or I don't like being in a band, and then Miles is just like, but you're in a team. And he's like, consistency either.
Yeah, I don't like consistency. I don't believe in consistency. Yeah, everything is I don't believe in. I don't believe in bands. I don't believe in consistency.
Oh my god, he he might have been my favorite character out of all of the new Spider-Man, but that isn't to discount the fact that like Miles and Gwen get so much focus in this movie, and you find out so much more about them. I wasn't expecting so much focus on Gwen either. I mean, just from the opening where you learn more about her family life. It's
I don't want to say I was expecting it, because I wasn't, but I knew that they had to take it in a slightly different direction than just focusing on Miles being the fish out of water, which there is some of that in this movie, but you know, Miles learning the ropes is the first movie, and it's exquisite, but you need to go somewhere else. Okay, how do we go somewhere else? Well, we can give some focus to some other spider people. And I thought Gwen was an excellent choice. Because, I mean, who else were you going to pick? Spider-Pig? No. But, no, she was incredible in this movie. Who does her voice? Haley Steinfeld?
Yep.
Yeah.
She does it
She
perfectly.
was excellent.
The cast
Really
in
good.
general,
Really good.
amazing.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but every time Peter Parker, old Peter Parker spoke, I heard Nick from New Girl. I was like, you can't do this to me.
I mean, his character is also just Nick from New Girl as
He
Spider-Man.
absolutely is. Absolutely is. And that happened to me in the last one. But the last one, he was very sad. And Nick from New Girl is not consistently that sad. He'll be sad sometimes, but he's not consistently that sad. So I was able to separate it easier. But this time, he was just so happy and funny and talking about his baby. And I was like,
Just hold my baby.
this is Nick. This is Nick from New Girl. His spider baby. What was is her name May?
Mayday Parker.
Yeah, Mayday. Well, I thought he was just calling her Mayday. Is her name actually Mayday?
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's a ridiculous thing to name your child. I can't believe that Mary Jane let you do that. That's hilarious.
I mean, her first name is also Mary Jane, so.
Yeah, but Mayday is different than Mary Jane.
Let's admit both are stupid. Like the Spider-Verse and Arachnid multiverse.
Oh, yeah, no, the arachnoid human multiversal interface or whatever. Ah, I only saw it once and I remember that. That, Jesus Christ, so good, so funny. But no, Mayday was fucking hilarious, little spider baby. I don't know if this was on anyone else's minds, but when I saw her, I was like, all I could think about was that one comic where Mary Jane dies because Peter had poisoned her with his radioactive semen.
I think I'm mixing them up, but like, no, Spider-Man One Last Day is a different story, but I know what you're talking about, where
Yeah,
it's really,
that
really
comic run.
weird. It's like, why'd you do
God,
that?
I was like, I don't know why they went in that direction in the comics, but I will thank them every day for that because it's amazing. And not that I want Mary Jane dead, I love her, but I thought that was the funniest direction they could possibly take it. And for some reason, when I saw that cute little baby with Mary Jane's hair and eyes, I could not stop. And Spider-Man's web shooters and spider powers, I could not stop thinking about that.
Just dead Mary Jane from radioactive spider sperm.
I can't. It's too funny.
Alright, so just moving on to serious topics. Very serious.
Serious topics. No more sperm.
Yeah, no more sperm talk. I wanted to talk about what, like, obviously Spider-Man 2099 and his character and projecting that he's doing onto Miles, but also what constitutes a canon event in his eyes.
Right. So he said the police chief thing is a canon event. I would assume that being bitten by a radioactive spider is one. And what else defines Spider-Man? I would assume falling in love.
Yeah.
But that might not be on Miguel's radar.
There's a lot of confusion, and I have honestly confusion only because I've been thinking about this nonstop since I first watched it. But everything that is labeled as canon under Miguel's eyes is written by, God, I think her name is Lila, that robot.
Yeah.
And
Who is she?
And like obviously it's all good things, but say that canon event where the Inspector Singh was supposed to die and Pravati Parker was supposed to learn the life lesson. Miles saved him. Nothing bad happened. So technically, was it a good thing for Miles to save him?
Well, not nothing bad happened. A big black hole opened at the bottom of their city.
But again, and even Miles says that. Wasn't that Spot?
Well, I think that's the big problem because we don't know. The thing for me is that Miguel's story of breaking the canon is not consistent with what he is telling Miles. His story of the reason that he knows that this is a terrible thing to do is because he broke the canon was that Spider-Man died and he went to his world and replaced him and decided to become that man who died. And so that he could presumably get his family back. He said
Rick and Morty.
He didn't say it's Rick and Morty. He didn't say I used to have a family and they're gone and I was looking for a new family. He said in that world I had a family. So I don't know if his family died and he tried to bring them back that way, or if he just was like, I'd like a kid.
Yeah,
so
that'd
I'm
be
gonna
cool.
go take this other guy's kid.
So yeah, he
That's
just
weird.
pops into a universe and stays there for a prolonged time. That universe dies, and Peter B. Parker might have been there. We're definitely going to see more of this in the third movie.
Obviously, because I think it's very inconsistent, and I think, I don't think just you being in that world would cause it to end.
There's something more happened.
Yeah, definitely, because Peter B. Parker was there.
And why was Peter B. Parker there?
Yeah. How did he get there? How were you stabilized in that world with a wristband, like not glitching out if it's not your world? How did you know you needed that stuff in the first place? It's a mystery. It is. He's obviously keeping that stuff close to his chest. And any villain who, when someone who's against the villain says, we're supposed to be the good guys, and then the villain goes, we are. And I'm like, I don't think you are, man.
And I love the way that Oscar Isaac says that line. Not the first we are, but he turns around, looks at all the Spider-Men, and he's like, we are. We are.
Yeah.
We are, guys. I think we are.
Oscar Isaac. I honestly hope that you wouldn't bring him up because I'll never stop. I'll never stop talking about him. He's so good in this role. Absolute, monotone king. He's not monotone in this, but when he's trying to be serious, he is absolutely spectacular. I love you, Oscar Isaac, if you're watching this for some reason.
He's
My
got a
friend
sultry
has a hard
voice.
cut out of you.
He's got a sultry voice. I think I've talked a lot about what I wanted to say for Spider-Man 2099. Like, obviously, he's saving lives, he's recruiting a bunch of Spider-Men to save lives, but at the end of the day, and like I said before, he's just projecting onto Miles. He thinks that if Miles makes one bad decision, he's gonna destroy a universe. And I don't think there's any evidence about that.
Yeah. I might have misspoken when I said that he is a villain. I don't think he's a villain because, like you said, he's trying to save lives and he has good intentions. And I understand what his perspective is. Oh, now there's a world out there that doesn't have a Spider-Man to protect it because that spider went and bit you. But, first of all, no. That was like, as soon as he said that, I was like, Miles, remember what your mama said, okay? Everyone's gonna tell you you don't belong, and you just gotta fight through that because you absolutely fucking do. Fuck that guy.
You
Sorry,
are
Miguel.
Spider-Man.
But yeah, you are absolutely Spider-Man, and he's not a villain. He's, at this point, he's an antagonist. But he's still a Spider-Man, and I think we're still hoping that in the second one he will see reason and not stand in Miles' way.
I think you put it so
get to a
perfectly.
place.
Him and the Spot, I guess I should say, Miguel and the Spot are so perfect for antagonistic forces in this movie because they're so opposite of what they are of each other. Spot is just trying to cause as much chaos as possible, and Miguel is just trying to stop all of that chaos from happening from this origin point that is Miles getting bit, which technically, he's right, was never supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? It's very naive of Miguel to think that he could stop Miles from being involved in the takedown of a villain whose main purpose is to destroy Miles, like, who's claimed himself to be his arch nemesis. That is not something any Spider-Man would ever step down from, Miguel.
Especially when their family's in danger.
Yeah. Their family or their pretty girlfriend.
Without getting, I guess, we'll move on to the Spot next, because I really want to talk about him. But just foreshadowing for the third movie, I think that there's no possible way for Miles to come to that, sort of satisfying conclusion where beating the Spot, where he's not together with Gwen, they have to be separate. That's another incursion that could be possible just from their relationship. And obviously that third movie's going to cover, no, you have to use love, and you have to look at a situation with love.
I think it's not just love. I think it's real teamwork, because Miguel's, he runs this, what is it, the spider base or whatever it's called, with all those Spider-Man, but none of them get a say. Miguel controls everything, and along with the AI, what's her name?
Lila. I could be wrong.
Lila, yeah. I don't know. I hear Lila, I think Guardians 3. But
yeah.
um
Poor Lila. Oh my god. Just for the sake of, so that we can clearly talk about the third movie and the ending, let's talk about Spot and just get it out of the way.
Okay.
That's the wrong way to put it, because oh my god. Spot, the one who is hit by the bagel.
The one who was hit by the bagel. His first scene was absolutely hilarious. I know I've said that phrase a lot for this movie, but that's because it's true. And he was that guy in the street. Hey, who left this ATM here? That killed me.
Just let me rob you, man.
Please let me rob you. I'm not stealing from you. I'm stealing from the bank. They're the real criminals.
yeah. It's this is my first time robbing someone. Just don't let this be a bad experience for me.
Oh, it was incredible. He was so funny. And then Miles showed up and he's like, "Oh, I hate you. I'm your arch nemesis, whatever." Oh my god, the one that, unfortunately for us both, this is Skin.
Oh.
That is unfortunate.
And the way that they mention Spot as a villain of the week, because that is exactly who he is. I was recently reading a Daredevil comic where like the Spot is just a 2-bit villain trying to kidnap someone for some money, and like there's nothing interesting about that, but seeing the Spot from Daredevil's point of view, how Daredevil sees him, like all of his holes on his body, that was really cool. But just seeing the Spot in a movie, that is so incredible, and the way that they play with the fact that he's just a dumb villain with holes on him. He says holes too much too. They point that out.
He says holes way too much. The first thing that I thought when he came on screen was Polka Dot Man, and then I was like, that's DC.
But it's the same idea of like going to the bottom of the barrel and grabbing a villain that someone thought of in the 60s or 70s and just being like, let's utilize this. Let's make this sing.
And the fact that his name is Spot. Like, I know he's the Spot, but his name is Spot, like a dog, like a fucking dog. And that's hilarious to me.
And when Miles like pets him and the wording goes "good cow," he like Miles just pats him on the head.
Like, what are you, some sort of cow? And then Gwen says the same thing. That was good.
But the way that he uses portals and momentum to kind of move around.
Yeah, and when he went like into his spots and got stuck in that liminal space and went through different holes to get to different worlds, that was just so funny. You just see him, he went to the Venom universe. There were so many live action crossovers in the style of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I wasn't expecting it.
So me neither. There was the Venom universe. There was, well, Miguel made a reference to the MCU and to Doctor Strange and to Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the opening battle with Gwen.
Called him a little nerd.
And Vulture. Yeah, the little nerd and Doctor Strange. And I was like, ah! And then there was obviously our king, Donald Glover, as the Prowler. And yeah, oh yeah, it wasn't just the Venom universe. It was the convenience store lady from Venom, who's
I don't care that
hilarious.
you're tearing holes in space-time. I don't give a shit. Are you gonna pay for your gum?
When he took that gum, I was expecting her to say, "You didn't pay for that."
Yeah.
But and then they showed us clips. They showed us a close-up clip of my Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. I love him to death. Ugh, his movies are terrible, but I still love him.
Guilty pleasures.
Yes, guilty pleasures indeed. And then no, I just love Andrew Garfield. It's not even his Spider-Man. And then it was they showed Toby and they showed Uncle Ben dying in the first Spider-Man movie, and that was so powerful when they were talking about Uncle Ben, and I was like, oh my god, Toby, they're literally all here. This is crazy.
I don't know if you have seen Spectacular Spider-Man, but they also showed that and even had the voice actor for Spectacular Spider-Man come up and say a line. Have you seen that show?
No, I haven't, but was that the short guy?
Yes.
The Spider-Man that was shorter than all the other ones? Okay, I knew he was someone important, but I didn't know who.
Yeah, that was a show in the early 2000s that was unrightfully canceled. And I know there's someone listening to this podcast right now, and they're like, yes, he mentioned Spectacular Spider-Man. I love him. Because I also love Spectacular Spider-Man. Great show.
It was so good. I like how there were so many different Spider-Man and like all different kinds of Spider people. There was one in a wheelchair. There was the Avatar one. She was cool, and she's gonna be on Gwen's team. She's
definitely gonna be in the future. There's also
I don't know who she is.
Spider Bite.
Oh, Spider Bite. Yeah. No, it said that. That's right.
It looked like the T-Rex Spider-Man was like drawn in MS Paint. I loved that.
The horse Spider-Man. Oh
on 3.
And the way that when Miguel called them all and said, "Stop, Spider-Man," and they all looked at each, and they did the pointing Spider-Man meme.
That entire scene is just perfect.
That thing will live on till eternity. That meme will be the only thing that the aliens find of our civilization and culture.
They're like, were they all Spider-Men? I wish.
they all
I
they all
wish.
dress like this?
But I guess finishing off the spot, because there's one more thing I wanted to mention about him, is that especially the flashbacks, but the way that he looked like a sketch, and the fact that he was pretty creepy, and then he went into the collider and he got scary. Like the way that he turned around and said "our future," my jaw dropped.
And the fact that I love the fact that it was a sketch, and it was like it hasn't been drawn yet.
Exactly.
It's been outlined. And I was like, whoa. None of them said that, but I just
No,
invented
they
that.
definitely
And I
didn't
was
say
like,
that
whoa.
because you just said that and you blew my mind.
Yay, well thank you. No, that was the first thing I thought, and I was like, it's still on the storyboards. It hasn't been drawn yet. And
It hasn't been
was
colored in yet, at
so
least.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Amazing.
That's-
And just
it was
like obviously
great. It was
I
a
would
great
have
decision.
I would have loved to see 20 more minutes of transformed Spot where it's opposite of him all being black and his spots are just white swirls.
I think
But-
you'll get that
Yeah,
in the
that's
next one.
clearly every viewer of this movie is going to want to see more of him because that's just going to be the third movie.
Who played him?
Jason Schwartzman.
That makes so much sense. I was like, I recognize his voice, but I cannot place him while I'm watching this movie.
There's so many
No.
great additions. Obviously, I mentioned Daniel Kaluuya, but both members of Lonely Island, I think there might be 3 members, but like the 2 famous members are both in this movie. Andy Samberg,
Who does he play?
Ben Reilly.
I haven't looked at the.
Oh
You know,
my
the
God.
Spider-Man who is
You're
always
right.
talking like this.
Oh my god, you're right. I haven't looked at the cast at all.
Oh.
That is hilarious.
And the other member of Lonely Island, who I can never remember the name of, but he plays Vulture.
Oh, okay. I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
But
But I know who you're talking
I'm
about.
picturing him from Hot Rod saying cool beans.
Yeah.
Who played the Indian Spider-Man?
Oh, goodness. I don't know his name, but he's the cabbie from Deadpool.
Okay, yeah, that's who I thought it was. No, I love him. He's hilarious. That's who I thought it was because I was like, this voice is so.
And it's such a
familiar.
perfect teen, happy-go-lucky voice, too. Oh. So I honestly can't think of too much else to say about this movie other than just getting right into third movie speculation, mainly because this movie doesn't have a third act. The third act just gets rises and rises, and then you're just left on that cliffhanger.
Cuts off. That's why I was shocked. That's why I was so shocked because I was like, they're not ending it here, right? There's no resolution.
The music starts playing, and they're having the voiceovers of MJ, you know, giving her speech, and then Gwen gives her speech, and it's like, no, they're not gonna end it here.
Yeah. Ugh. And they did.
They
Those
did.
bastards. But it was really good. We're obviously gonna see hear a lot of familiar voices. Nicolas Cage is gonna be back. John Mulaney.
He better be back.
He's coming back. We're gonna get Daniel Kaluuya is gonna be back. Obviously, they're all on the team. So I think all of those major Spider-Man voices are gonna be back. Obviously, including the Spot and Miguel.
Yes. So excited to see more of the Spot. I need to see more of
Yeah,
him.
I think we're gonna get a lot of backstory on Miguel. And is he a vampire? I'm so confused. Like, what's his
So,
deal? Is he
The
a wolf?
limited
Spider?
knowledge that I have of Spider-Man 2099, I've never read a Spider-Man comic of his. I've just experienced him bouncing into other Spider-Man comics. I think it's like Blade, where just his spider bite is so different that it like infected him with some sort of
Yeah, that's the kind of vibes I was getting from him. And I was like, he's kind of like Blade. He's really serious.
Yes.
But, but like, what kind of spider has claws?
I don't
And
know.
what did he have to inject himself with? He was injecting himself with something that went into his bloodstream. What was that?
I don't know. That's what I
That
thought
shit.
of, like Blade, where he's like trying to placate. And the fact that his webs aren't webbing, it's like lasers. I need to read more
I
Spider-Man
don't-
2099 just to understand what is going on.
I don't know if they're lasers because they didn't hurt people, but they were glowing in red, definitely. Yeah, no, I don't think it was just a visual difference because they did a strictly visual difference for Jessica, and in that first battle with Jessica and Miguel and Gwen, all of their webs looked slightly different. And Gwen's had a little of a blue tint, and Jessica's had a little of a green tint, but then Miguel's were just straight red lasers.
Yeah. Which is cool looking. I loved it. But it's like, why?
Yeah.
So I think in the same way that this movie started out with a flashback and explanation of Gwen, I think we're going to do that with Miguel. Him deciding to move into this universe, him destroying that universe, Peter B. Parker being there, him forming this spider society. I think it's all going to be in that, at the very least, in the next movie.
Why do you think Peter was there? What kind of speculation you got there?
I have no idea. Maybe. So, if Miguel came into Peter B's universe and eventually destroyed it, does that mean that Peter B, MJ, and his kid are living in this pocket dimension, like created by Miguel? Because that could be a possibility.
I don't think so because he said that the Spider-Man in that world had died. And if that was Peter's world, Peter would be the Spider-Man in that world.
Maybe I
So
am,
I think-
jumping to too many conclusions.
I don't know. I think the Spider Gang or whatever it is, I like that, Spider Gang, had already been, I think it had already been created to some extent because when Miguel's backstory happened, maybe. Because how did he get there? How did he get to another world? How did he not glitch out every 5 seconds? Why was Peter there? How did he even know Peter?
We
You know?
need to see all of this in the third movie. It needs to be explained. It needs to be explained further how this spider jumping from a dimension not in its own, biting Miles, how does that lead to the devastation of Earth 42, where that doesn't have a Spider-Man? Like, was that world technically supposed to have that Peter Parker who got bit, like Miguel said? Like, is he telling the truth? Honestly, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know if it was supposed to have a Peter. Maybe it was supposed to have a Miles. Because I mean, are there comics where Miles is the Prowler?
There are comics where Miles isn't Spider-Man and he's evil. I don't think there is a comic where Miles is the Prowler.
I don't think they're basing directly off comics. I think they're just doing
No.
whatever the fuck they want, which is valid. But if they were doing that, then maybe in that other world, because the police chief, the reason I'm thinking of it is because the police chief who died was Miles' dad. So if that world's canon had that police chief dying, then I feel like the Spider-Man there was supposed to be Miles, but it ended up being Miles from a different world. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows?
Who knows? And we're going to see, I think in about a year is when the next movie releases, which is great. I don't want to wait too long. But I think the main theme or the main crux of what I really want the third movie to be is to just be the idea that you cannot know more than you're supposed to. If you know anything about the future, you're going to make the wrong decision. All you have to do is look at a situation and do what you think is right. And that's what Miles
Yeah.
does. That's why he saves Inspector Singh.
I think you're right, and that's the problem with all, like, not the problem, but that's what happens in like many, time travel media or media that has to do with knowing the future, is that if you know what's going to happen, you're going to make it happen, or whether it's good or bad, usually bad. You're going to make the decisions that make it come about.
That, or you're just going to create a alternate reality that is somehow worse and terrible and everyone is dead or something like that. Like, time travel always is messed up.
I think it always likes to deal with the concept of free will, and are you really free if you know what's going to happen? Obviously not. And free will is only free will if you are free to make your decisions without knowing what the outcome is, or without knowing exactly how it's going to play out. And that is I think you're right in that Peter's world was not Peter's world.
Miguel.
No, not Miguel. There's too many of these spider people.
There's too many M-named Spider-Men too. Miguel and Miles.
Yeah.
They're too similar.
Well, that's just two. The rest are all Peters.
Yeah.
Or some variation of Parker. Remember Parked Car? Peter Parked Car, the talking car Spider-Man? That was fucking batty.
I was not ready for that. I saw the car and I was like, oh, it's Spider-Man. Wait, why is he talking?
And then it said parked car. Stop. Because a Parker is a person and a parked car is parked. Ugh, it's so funny. Anyway, what was I saying? The Mumbatum world. I don't think that world is going to be destroyed. Because Miles didn't save Inspector Singh knowing... Yeah, he was from a different universe and he wasn't supposed to be there, but he didn't save him knowing that that was a canon event that could change the trajectory of that Spider-Man. He did it because it was the right thing to do. And I think also it means something that Peter's world isn't destroyed. Not Peter. Jesus Christ. Miles. That Miles' world isn't destroyed, because if that spider came from a different dimension and bit Miles, then, and Miguel is right, and that's not supposed to happen, then why isn't that world ending?
Exactly.
You know? Why is his world stable?
Maybe Miles is dooming this Earth-42 to live without a Spider-Man, but we don't know that. Maybe Miles' destiny was always to become Spider-Man, and Miguel is wrong. We don't know, and I really cannot wait to see what they do with that third movie, what they do with the themes.
Also, yeah. No, you're very right. And also, that spider was number 42, so I'm sure there were other spiders that could have bit someone else.
So I loved that, because there are two things about the first movie that I had questions about or didn't like, and that's only because I've seen that movie 50 times. Like, in the same way that I have more problems with Goblet of Fire and Prisoner of Azkaban, it's only because I've seen and read those too many times.
See them more because they're the best ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Prisoner of Azkaban. Ugh, so good.
But anyway, so the spider that bit Miles, it had a tattoo of 42 on it in the original movie. And I was like, why is that? Is that the 42nd Spider-Man? Or is that the 42nd spider? Been talking about Spider-Man for too long. But no, it's because that spider comes from Earth-42. And maybe there's other spiders from other universes that they were experimenting on.
But that doesn't make sense to me. Why would the Earth... First of all, why would that Earth know its number? The people who made that spider, why would they know that number? And second of all, why would they tattoo that on the spider? And if it was this world, if it was Miles's world that tattooed that number on the spider, 42, why... Like, and they pulled from, let's say that was the 42nd spider that they pulled from other dimensions, or that was the 42nd dimension that they somehow contacted. How would they know that that is the correct number? Because Miguel also calls it 42. Maybe I'm thinking about it too much.
I could be thinking about it too much too, but I could have sworn in that sketch flashback it had the female Dr. Octopus saying, "This is from Universe 42. I could be wrong though.
Maybe that's why, and they tattooed it to remember that this is from Universe 42. Maybe.
But even that being the case,
remember.
That brings up more questions of how the hell did they get that spider? How did they know that it was from Earth 42? Are there other
And
spiders?
why the spider?
Yeah.
Yeah. because like maybe because Miles' world had a Spider-Man, had Peter Parker, so maybe they were trying to recreate Spider-Man to put him on their side and have them be able to control a Spider-Man. And they got a radioactive spider from somewhere. Maybe. Who knows?
I have no idea.
Lots of good speculation. Lots of questions we got.
I can't think of too much else to say other than the fact that obviously it's not as good of a movie as the first, as just one solid, satisfying experience. You know, that first movie...
Because it's not trying to be.
No. And I clearly cannot judge this movie on any case because we haven't seen all of it. We gotta wait a year to see the conclusion of this story arc. But I mean, that being said, Gwen really gets a satisfying conclusion to her character arc for this movie. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, with her confronting her father and him quitting being a police captain. I really liked, and so that he won't die. I really liked all of that.
The more that I think about it, it kind of is a satisfying experience if you look at it as Gwen's movie. If you forget Miles's journey entirely, like as an experience, if you watch Gwen, it's really satisfying. So yeah, I was wrong.
I don't think you need to forget Miles's journey. I think it's still satisfying as a movie because movies can have, you know, cliffhangers to set up other movies, and Miles' story, while it is very important in this film, it is not the focus. Gwen's is. And you're right, her arc, I wouldn't say her arc concludes, but this part of her story concludes. And
she's now, I don't know, a leader. I don't know if that's the right word, but she's leading a team.
I mean, her journey through the arachnid human, whatever the fuck it's called, the Spider-Verse, with all the other spider people as a part of that team, and leaving her father and coming out as Spider-Woman to her father, like, those things are all dealt with, and she, you know, leaves Miguel's team and starts something of her own, starts her own team. She's the Nick Fury of this world.
Yes, you're right. But I don't know, there's not much more to say. I loved this movie from beginning to end. I didn't feel the runtime at all.
Me neither. I didn't feel it at all.
By the time we got to that third act and Miles is swinging in the rain with that trippy, like, dream sequences behind him, I was like, this feels like it's coming to an end, and I do not want it to.
No, it was really good. Also, one thing I want to talk about, they played with Spider-Man physics so goddamn well, and so much. Like, the amount of time, what was that scene where Gwen and Miles were sitting upside down on the building, and you just saw the entire city from upside down, and I was sitting there and I was like, this is Spider-Man.
Gorgeous.
This is something that movie Spider-Man, no matter how much I love them, could never do, because this is what you want.
It's jaw-dropping.
This is the dream.
And nothing
was so
crazy
beautiful.
action is even happening in that scene. And that is probably the most beautiful scene in the whole movie. Mm-hmm. Not animation-wise, but just...
emotionally, visually, yeah. I mean, there are lots of beautiful scenes. Like we were saying before, everything in Gwen's world.
I was driving home with my girlfriend after watching this, and we were having this conversation. I don't think this movie has that what's up danger moment that is the greatest moment in cinema. But then again, I think this movie is chocked full with those moments. And the reason why you can't really point them out is because there's so many of them. Just emotionally poignant, and the animation is just going off. When Spider-Man is going up to that highway to the moon, and the camera,
fucking train.
There's so many moments where the camera is just following Spider-Man, and you have a hard time following the chaos that is happening, whether it's Spot's portals or just following from car to car. It is amazing. And I wish I could just watch those scenes on loop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was going to say, I think it's so funny that you said that exact scene, because when you said there's no what's up danger moment because there's too many of them. That's the exact scene that I thought of. I was like, oh, the highway when he's going up on the train to the moon or whatever. And then he's like, I just lured all your Spider-Men away from that. And I was
He's like, I'm not going to let anyone tell me who I can or can't be.
And then Peter B is like, oh, he did plan this out.
I am a good mentor.
I am a good mentor. Well, he just beat you, so I can't be that bad.
I think this movie is perfect. Obviously, I'm going to watch it a million more times and find something to point out where I was like, oh, I wish this was better. But as far as it goes now, it's a masterpiece. It's perfect. We're only going to know in a year, but sorry, you go.
Oh no, I'm really upset that I'm not going to be able to see it again before I leave on Monday. And because I don't have enough time and I want to see it again. It's so good.
I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get to watch this one in IMAX. Beyond the Spider-Verse, which is the title of the third movie, I am going to watch in IMAX. I am going to leave my state, which does not have an IMAX theater, and go find one.
You should come here. We can go to Universal IMAX and see it together.
Let's see it together.
Fuck yes. 100%.
I need to.
Yeah. No, it is a movie that you want to see on the biggest screen possible.
Yes. And that's probably the biggest compliment you can give to this movie. A sequel to an amazing animation extravaganza. Like, do they beat it? And as animation goes, yes. Go watch it on the biggest screen you can find.
I mean, as far as beating the first movie, I wouldn't say it beats it. I mean, like, do I like it more? Yes. Is it more fun? No, they're both fun. They're different movies. They're fundamentally different movies because one is an origin story and this is the other one was multiversal, but this is a multiversal masterclass, I think. It is not an origin story at all, and that makes for a very different movie. It looks like it's the beginning of a team up, but also honestly, I think it's the opposite of an origin story. What's the opposite of an origin story? It's like Gwen's story dealing with her fallout.
Yes.
And Miles is too. It's dealing with fallout.
Yeah, as a superhero, and just like I was saying before, you make decisions and you have to live with those consequences. And that's what this movie's about.
With great power.
Oh my god.
Responsibility.
You did it.
And with that, thank you. And with that, I think we're gonna head out.
This has been Just Cuz.
Just
Go
'Cause.
watch Across the Spider-Verse. It's great.
Do it, you loser.
And have a good day.
Yes. Have a good day.
And I'll sign off with, it's a metaphor for capitalism.